Today I'm going to go over a couple of tips for schedules. Okay, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to create a schedule for electrical equipment, and I'm going to add count and type parameters. Okay, and now this is something that I used to, in my RFAs, my families, basically, I would basically just add crazy share parameters, like, stuff that I really didn't want to put, as a type, or excuse me, as a shared parameter. And I realized one day, I was like, oh, I could just create my own parameters. They could just be, typical project parameters, and I can name it whatever I want. In this case, I'll say, test length, okay? And, oops, in this case, I already have it. We'll call it test 2. Okay, and I don't have to use share parameters all the time. I could just create my parameters inside the project. Another thing I stopped doing was instead of calculating stuff inside my families, I started doing it inside the schedules and stop having so many shared parameters. So in this case, I'm going to create, or this example, I'm going to create quantity, and I'm going to make it an integer. Give it the value of 1. Okay, I'm going to create another one. I'm going to call it isolation pads, and I'm going to say it's an integer. I'm going to say there's 4 pads per transformer, and here I'm going to create the total isolation pads, an integer, and okay, so now I'll say, okay, now you want to what's important here, I'll tell you what, we'll just go ahead and hit that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a formula to this right here. Go back and click on that and edit. Come over here and I'm going to say, so before I get to that point, as you can see here, I added count. Okay, as you can see in the schedule here, that's what I forgot to tell you. So you got count. All right, so now when I go to add a formula to total everything up, you will see that count does not exist. This is why I had to create my own quantity. Okay, here I'm going to say quantity times isolation pads. Oops, spelled that wrong. I wasn't paying attention. And I hit OK. As you can see here, now I have basically the total quantities. Now, in order to, if you go to itemize, it's going to mess it up. As you can see, what we need to do here is we need to go to format, hit quantity, we say calculate totals, and for the total isolation pads, we need to say total there also. So now we have, quantity of 3 transformers per unit. There's 4 of them, and now it's total of 12. All right, so that's one of the ways you can get around not having count work to your advantage inside of the schedules here. So create your own quantity or count, or whatever you want to call it, count 2 or something. But this is the only way to get around that. It's a little trick. Okay, the other thing too that I've used from time to time is creating a combination parameter. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to say it's time we can use the count, and we're going to go down to type. Okay, and what we're going to say is I have space, say blank count. Separator is going to be a space. Then I'll say the type, and I'll say space in this project. period. Okay, and this is how you can create combination parameters here and actually write out whatever whatever you need to say in your projects. Oh, I forgot to take out the /. But all right, so if you want to create a combination parameter, that's how you do it. And one more little tip here is that when you want to make a dummy schedule, basically a legend, basically really this is just a legend. One way you could do this is create a schedule. Instead of creating data down here, what we did is we modified the header. Okay, basically it's like having Excel. All right, you come in here and, for example, like say I'm on this row here, I'm going to add another row above, and as you can see here, when you're typing in information, it's really fast. Okay, now of course you can't do anything other than put information in. You're not going to be able to add or anything like that. If you want to add another, for example, column, you can add a column here, and you can delete the column. So there's a lot of things you can do here, but the advantage is that it's just dummy data. You just drop it into your projects. So creating the header as a legend can come in pretty handy. All right, until next time.